Show. That's right. Welcome in, welcome back, folks, to a interesting piece of evidence on Marcus Freeman's development between year one and year two and the way he's going to coach this team. I wanted to go over edition of the Always Irish Show. As always, you can find the program on YouTube. Do it. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up. Helps me as well. Notifications on that way. You alerted every time a new episode drops. You don't want to miss it. Twitter, search bar, Always Irish Rat. Always Irish Inc. Emails, alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only anywhere you want me. You can give me that call-in line. 312-988-15. You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Fighting Irish Wire every day. We have new articles for you. I just wrote a couple this weekend. I don't know when they're going to post, but they'll be up soon. Every day, check it out. All right. Let's get into this. So, one of the things I've been talking about throughout the summer when we're looking at the difference between last year's Notre Dame team and what we want this year's to be, what went right last year for Notre Dame, what went wrong, and why. That's the other thing. It isn't just identifying what went wrong and what went right. You got to know why things went wrong and right. Those are different things. Recognizing a problem or whatever is different than understanding what caused it. So we've been talking about all of that. And something that I've been bringing up all summer is the question of how much of a better coach is Freeman going to be year two and not year one? I always say you hear a lot about teams making a big jump in quality of how they play between week one and week two. I want to know what I could expect out of a new coach in year two and not year one. All of the newness should be worn off. Getting used to the new routine as Notre Dame's head coach, all the different responsibilities you got to do on the field, off the field, fundraising, the academic people, all of it. All of that. And how does Freeman develop from one year to the next? How much more comfortable is he in this job? How much more confident is he in this job? How many lessons did he learn the hard way last year that he's going to try and pivot off of to avoid the bad stuff that happened last year? Those are all questions we've been talking about all summer. And I found an interesting tweet with a couple quotes from Marcus that I think can inform us of some of these changes taking place. And I actually think it's pretty encouraging what he said. Shows me that he's able to adapt, change his approach, change the way he's looking at things one year to the next. Now, I want to be clear. This can't be all the time where every year you have different messaging and you're doing things different and you're switching it up and all that. But early on, when a guy's a new head coach, you got to find your footing and where you're comfortable operating. Find out what zone you can live in that presses the button to get the most out of your group on any given week. And this is very interesting. So I'm going to pull this tweet up. I believe it's Adam Rittenberg, and we're going to go over what Freeman said and how it ties into this. Very, very interesting. Let's take a look at this. Rittenberg had an interesting conversation with Marcus Freeman about expectations and goals with Notre Dame players. Last year, I'm talking about national championships, winning the 12th game and all this stuff, and you're 9-4. That's what I've gone away from. Don't even talk about those things. Now, let's scroll down and see what else. More from Freeman. All we need to focus on is reaching our full potential. Who cares about week 12? Like, stop talking about national championships. That's too big. It's too big for them to really understand what it takes for that to be the result. That's been my mindset. More from Freeman. That's got to be our mentality, that every game we perform at our full potential. We reach the full potential as a program. If that's good enough to beat everybody we play, great. And if it's not, then we better recruit better. but what we control is how we perform. Very interesting here. Now, I'm going to react to this a couple different ways. One is, this tells me he's able to be nimble and adapt and be malleable enough that he's not hammered into one way of thinking and one way to message things to the team. And so it doesn't surprise me at all because Freeman's so cerebral, the way he interacts with the world and stimuli around him. It doesn't surprise me to see him be this nimble and make this shift. Okay. And so I get that. And you know what it makes me think of? How many times in the summer on the morning show or the Saturday night shows with Pat or whatever, do we sit here and I go, we're all looking at what happened against Marshall and Stanford last year, and we can't figure out why. Like, we know Notre Dame didn't have the best talent last year. That's obviously a part of the reason, but it isn't a reason to lose to those teams. That was a reason to not win the playoff, not lose to Marshall and Stanford, the lack of elite talent, enough of it all over. But you ask yourself, how could it be possible you're a 17.5 point favorite against both of these dead dog ass teams and you lose at home? Maybe this gives you some insight. Maybe guys were looking too big picture and forgetting what was right in front of them. And it looks like Freeman wants to avoid that and put more emphasis on the game right in front of us. We got to put everything in that basket, win this game. And if you do that long enough, the championship stuff's going to come and you're going to earn the right to talk about processing that. So I kind of like this. I wouldn't want him flip-flopping big picture messaging every single year he's here. But early on, as he's figuring this out, I like this. Being nimble and changing what these guys are focusing on. And you can't tell me it's a bad move when you lost to Marshall and Stanford last year, which were two of the honest to God, worst teams in America. And so you could argue there was reason to make this shift from the big picture goal to the small picture goal, because the team last year wasn't mature enough to handle the big picture goal. And so I like seeing this. This shows me some maturation from Marcus. I like this. Now let me end with this stuff. I don't like this particular message forever. For right now, where the team is based on the results last year, this makes perfect sense. But I do see scenarios where it's okay to talk about winning a championship as the goal and all that. But you can only do that when your team is in a realistic position and has earned the right to talk about things that big. Notre Dame under Marcus Freeman has not earned the right to talk about things that big. You lost 4 games last year, 2 of them to high school teams. You were not in the position to have that big of a viewpoint yet. You ain't Georgia. If you're Georgia, you've proven you're at that level, and you're talking about we're winning another one in a row. And you've earned the right to talk about that. And the players in that program have proven they can handle goals that big and get there and perform well and win it. So eventually, you would like Freeman to say, whenever that time comes, and he trusts his team, and they're a mature team, and you trust the leadership, and it is actually realistic to start talking like this, and you've proven that the guys can handle it mentally, then I want to see that message shift to that's our goal this year, and anything but that title's a failure. We're not there yet. You got to earn the right to talk that bold. You got to earn the right by doing what you should do. And losing to Marshall and Stanford is not what you should do. Neither's losing to Ohio State or USC, but at least they were ultra-talented teams. Okay? So I like this. It tells me he's nimble and he's able to adapt and maneuver and change his way of thinking and messaging to this team. I after the evidence last year, I respect going down this path one game at a time, week to week, and then see where that puts us in the big picture. I get it. But eventually, I hope this team gets mature enough and further down the road of trust and competency proven that you can trust them to look at bigger picture goals. I hope we get there. I don't want this to be the messaging forever and never have any big picture goals. Notre Dame should be better than being in that position, but they're not there yet. You got to earn that right. But again, I just like seeing that Marcus is adapting what he did last year into this year with a different approach. These are a part of the growing pains and a part of being a first-time coach, learning his way through. And I know that's why a lot of people wanted Luke Fickell or somebody else. So this guy wasn't learning all this on the fly. But if I wanted to push back on that, I'd say Brian Kelly was here over a decade and he never figured out the messaging. He was here over a decade. Brian Kelly never had consistent messaging in the way he delivered information. Purple face, psycho phase. BK homeboy trying to be cool with the guy's phase. Checked out CEO, no emotional Brian at the end. One guy, 3 different personalities. So it's not like Kelly ever figured out at Notre Dame how to do messaging. He had 3 different personas. So even that guy with 40 years of experience couldn't figure out what button to press at Notre Dame. He certainly didn't press the button of turning on the jet and going to recruit more. He didn't press that button. I like knowing that Marcus is nimble, okay? So I get this messaging now. But eventually that team's got to get to the point where you go, the hell with it. We're going to win it all this year. We're not there yet. Prove it. And the other thing I'm open to is get through most of the year undefeated and, get by Clemson and you beat the big 3. Yeah, then I get Marcus saying, you guys have proven it. We got to buy 2 more games, win them both, and let's go win something. Then you will at least earn the right to talk like that. But for now, I like seeing that he's adapting a little bit till the guys can prove they're capable of handling big picture and immediate view stuff at the same time. Obviously, we weren't last year. I got to have you be able to handle both. Take care of the team in front of you and think of what's on the line on the back end, big picture. What do you guys think about this? But I like it. It's a little tidbit that lets me know Marcus knows he's got to adapt the way he did things last year. And that's a big takeaway and a big positive for Marcus, that he's humble enough to make that pivot in messaging. All right? Earn the right to talk about championships. We haven't done that in multiple decades. Get there. Have a good day.